Hi, Charlie King, Director of Instruction at Reynolds Plantation and the New Rules Golf Schools. I want to talk to you today about proper video analysis. We end up many times, a person comes in for a lesson and we videotape, and in my viewpoint that's a good thing. But then what ends up happening is that the video can become very discouraging in the way that a lot of what I would call old rules instructors are doing the analysis. So let's look at it first. I'm going to go through it twice. One the way I would do it, and the way I see a lot of people doing it. So I've picked our friend Bill Dudley. He plays Hank Headcase in our O.R. Smith video series. And so with him, I would draw a box on his head just so I have some sense of where his swing center is throughout the swing. I would draw a line on his shaft angle at address, and then I draw a line up through his right shoulder, which gives me some sense of swing plane. And now what I would do is I would tell Bill to make sure and focus on the face-on view, because the first thing I want to do is talk about solid contact. So I want to judge his solid contact. We have 7 essential skills that we teach here. So here we're looking for the impact position, we're looking for his spine angle, and we're looking at his width. Those would be the key things that we look at. So now he takes the club back, and so we're watching, and Bill does fine with width. His elbow gets bent a little bit, but it's not a big deal. His secondary spine angle is fine, which is just the angle of he's not tilting all over the place. And so now we watch him on the way down to impact, and I feel like he's early releasing just a little bit. And then his arms, he has a lot of what I would call hyperextension of his arms through impact. So with Bill, you know, my main focus with him would be that I want to have him, he's going to need resistance through impact. The point being, if you're going to kick a field goal, you don't keep running toward the target, you actually plant against what you're going to do. So I would pick one main thing there, and then I would go over to his down the line view, and this is what tells me his direction control. So swing plane and club face are the 2 things that determine direction control. And so we would watch his club come up, and he puts it in a reasonable position at the top. And then as he comes down, the thing that we look at is his shaft is a little bit steep. It should be more back toward that bottom red line. And that puts him in position to hit pull shots and fade shots. The higher up you are, you hit pulls and fades. If you go below the red line, you hit pushes and hooks. And so then Bill and I would then talk about getting his club more on plane. So for solid contact, we would be getting his arms to come in just a little bit closer in our drills. And then for direction, which we would work on separately, we would work on his path being a little bit shallower. So we would have 2 things worked on separately. Now, what ends up happening many times, Bill would come for a lesson, and more lines would be drawn. So a person would come here, and so we would draw, you know, lines would be drawn here and here, and maybe there's a line drawn here on his rear end, and then maybe there's a line drawn for his spine. And not that these lines in and of themselves are wrong. What then happens during the video analysis is that it's what I call a stream of consciousness. The person then points out every single thing they see that they deem to be a flaw, and the reason they think it's a flaw is because it's compared to a model that they have in their head instead of skill-based instruction. So now Bill takes the club back, and the person says, okay, you're taking it back, and the club, your body's, let's say, tilting too much to the left, and then as you get to the top, your elbow bends and you're across the line, Bill, and then as you start down, okay, your club's too steep, your head's leaning into it, and you've early released, you flipped it a little bit through impact, you extended your arms too much, your arms went too high into the follow-through. So Bill, you've got 10 faults, and hopefully we can get to one of them today. So in that analysis, there's no prioritization, and Bill now thinks his swing's a complete disaster, and he's discouraged by what he just saw instead of simply being informed and prioritized and being able to go out. So when you're taking a lesson, look for that first type, which we call a new rules type of video analysis. And as soon as you see the other one, you should run the other way as fast as you can. Thanks.